fiction, nonfiction. I'm supposed to write in that genre, but I read this genre. At the beginning, as a new writer, it's always a little confusing. And let's face it, you only know what you know. So watch my video, and by the end, I'm going to share with you a few tips that will help you avoid making the most common mistakes new writers make. For the simplest and easiest ways to write a book, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so that you'll be notified every Wednesday when I upload a new video. Are you wondering what are the really basic things I need to focus on before I get writing my book? Well, by the end of this video, I'm going to share with you 3 things that you should really look at and consider before getting that pen to paper. Let's take the first thing we need to look at, and that's to get our terminology right, because terminology is really a form of communication. And I always find that people get confused with fiction and nonfiction. So fiction is imaginary events and imaginary people and stories all combined from your imagination. Nonfiction is what I write, and how I coach my clients is they're writing nonfiction, which is real people, real events, everything is real. So there's some source of truth with every nonfiction. Well, not some sort of truth. There is truth. It comes from actual events. The other word that is used a lot in book writing is people will talk to or refer to genre. Well, what's your genre? That's just a fancy name for category. So what is the category that you're going to write your book in? Is it going to be self-help? Is it going to be fitness? Is it going to be health and wellness? Is it business related? That's just the category. So when people start talking about, do you read your genre? It's just like, how much do you know about the category you're writing in? Because as a nonfiction person, author, you're going to be writing from a place of truth and based on events and real life experiences that you're going to recite in your book to show that you know exactly what you're talking about. The second thing I want to talk about is, as a nonfiction writer, you need to provide concrete tools to the reader that will help deliver on the promise that you set out at the beginning. And if you're not sure what your promise is, watch my other video when I talk all about what the promise is. So a concrete tool could be something as easy as a checklist. If you're in health and wellness, maybe, you're monitoring food, what people are eating from carbs or protein, things like that. So it could be a checklist. It might be a blueprint for somebody to start with so that they can begin a program that you might be speaking about. So whatever that tool is, you want to just keep it really simple and easy so that they actually are engaged with you and use the tool. All right, now let's talk about why you're the expert and you're becoming the authority. That's why you're writing a book and you're going to be the author. It is really about your bio. So a lot of times we find it really hard to talk about ourselves, and it might feel like bragging, but your bio is establishing your credibility with the reader and why they should buy your book and read your book. So it's really important to have specific things in your bio. So any certificates or any credentials, you might have just a whack ton of experience, and that is so valuable. That's the wisdom that you bring forward in your category of what you're talking about and teaching. So don't get too caught up on, I don't have a certificate, because we can get into that. And you might want to have a couple different bios. I have a background in health and wellness. I'm a Pilates instructor. I'm a lifestyle nutrition coach. So that kind of bio will fit in certain categories or genres that I might be speaking to, where my other side is all my business and my corporate backgrounds, becoming an entrepreneur, all my training, all of being a facilitator, having speaking engagements. So It's okay for you to have a couple different bios. I find as entrepreneurs, we're experts in a lot of different fields, and it's certainly fine to have one or two different bios that make sense to the audience that you're speaking to. The last tip I want to share with you is really feedback is your friend. Let's face it, your first draft is probably not going to be the best draft ever. That's okay. But you want to get the feedback. You want to talk to those friends that are in your circle of influence that can shed some light. And they don't even have to know everything that you're talking about in the way of facts and figures, but let them read it for flow. Do they understand everything? It's kind of nice to have somebody who doesn't know anything that you're talking about, because then they're really going to poke holes where they're like, this didn't make any sense to me. And that's really important, because this feels like criticism, and you're so proud of the books and everything that you've put together so far. It's a little damaging to our ego, but you just have to have a conversation with your ego before you even start this book process, and tell your ego to just go sit aside, because it's not about the ego right now. And when somebody might say to you, oh, I got to talk to you about your book, it kind of gives you those like awful butterflies in your stomach. When you used to be, called to the principal's office, you're like, uh-oh, what did I do wrong? So it's nothing that you've done wrong. Feedback is great. You want to get as much feedback as you can. It'll make your writing so much stronger, because your book is going to be fabulous. And it's a good feeling knowing you've had a few people vet it for that kind of clarity before you get on to the next stage, and before you get down too far down the path of writing and then figure out you've got to go back and rework all those chapters. So it does actually save you some time. Now you've got some great tips on how to write your book as a beginner. And because we were talking about time, I have a free download, so it'll be down in the comments, but feel free to get a copy. It's called Strategies to Steal More Time, and it'll just help you understand during the day where you could find more time to write. Lots of writers I talk to, that's always their number one thing, is finding time. So if you found my video helpful, feel free to share it with friends. Drop a comment below. I love your comments, so thank you to everybody who's been writing them. And if there's other questions you have about writing a book, please let me know. I'm Karen Roy, your book coach. And until we meet again, keep writing.